Bases dropped on a Freestyle Friday here at SDH. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Soccer's Morning Show. John here, you there, Maddie Cruz on the ones and twos. She'll be coming up in just a little bit. It's a packed show. I mean, Fridays traditionally are because we have all of the matches that we have to preview. In hour number 2, it's the weekend Whiparound, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully rather than later, because it's Major League Soccer. It's obviously Atlanta United. It is USL Championship. It is USL League One. We're going to be hearing from folks in USL League One. Maddie caught up with one of the clubs getting ready for this weekend and early parts of the season. And the NWSL kicks off. For those of you that follow certain folks on the media that is social, Jen Hildreth shot a selfie of herself, because if it was a selfie of anybody else, it might be a little odd to call it a selfie, but she shot a selfie of herself on an airplane. And she's getting ready to call her match on ABC. And she's going to be in Kansas City, I believe. So we'll try and track Jen down, one of the busiest people in show business, and find out what she thinks about the NWSL this weekend in general. So Jen's going to be busy. Apparently there's like 9 different places or 11 different places that you can watch the NWSL this year. That's fantastic. And so they kick off this weekend as well. So hour number 2, there's a lot of stuff to preview. There's a lot of news this morning involving national teams, involving clubs, involving draws, involving a lot of everything. So there's that to talk about as well. So plenty to get into when it comes to all of the activity. And trust me, there is a lot of activity this morning. So morning, Alex. Morning, everybody. And so yesterday, when Jason was on with us for a bit of a preview of Atlanta United and what to anticipate with the purple team this morning, we were trying to find an attribution, and it had to do with, you're doing pretty well, you're doing okay, and you're pretty much at the top of the game. And so I legitimately had to go and track it down. We were talking about everything that we talk about here on a daily basis at SDH, and I found our buddy Arn Anderson.
I don't want to say I told you so. I don't want to blow our own horn, but toot, toot. We are still recipients and owners of all the trophies.
There you go. So that's so we're going to hang on to that drop. And there you go. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And if I can scroll up far enough, there we go. There's the QR code for those of you who are watching on either Twitch, on YouTube, or on the 280-character app. That's the QR code for Kickoff Coffee. You click on that, they get you to Kickoff Coffee. Use the code SoccerDownHere15. They get you 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it in things that they have earmarked, youth programs, youth initiatives. Very, very cool things from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. I kind of surprised Maddie this morning in the green room. I said in our pre-flight meeting, I said, you're opening kickoff. And so now you're opening kickoff. And the reason I said you're opening kickoff is because of what you pieced together. And how long did it take you to edit the Atlanta United 2 preview that has been blasted out across all of our platforms? How long did it take you to piece that half hour together?
Ooh, well, Adobe's a fun little software, first of all. I would say at least it took me 2 days, but it didn't take me the whole 2 days because I kind of spaced it out. I would say around like 7 hours.
Okay. And that's, traditionally when you're piecing something like that together, it's going to take you, as they say here in the South, a fair poke. And so what was it like piecing that thing together?
It was a lot of fun. I loved getting to tell a story. If that makes any sense. I loved getting to talk to obviously all 3 of them. I loved talking to Coach Cookie. He was great. Also to Javier Armas, and then Matt Edwards too. I mean, they all just were so open to talk to. It was great. And just getting able to do that, then getting the B-roll, and then just getting to be able to put it all together. Was very proud of my coffee promo. Was very proud of that one.
Oh, absolutely.
All I have to say about that. I don't want to toot my own horn, but according to that little video that was just played,
Yeah.
I will toot it because I
Yes.
was proud of that one.
Oh, of course. I mean, absolutely. Any chance we get to quote our
I don't
names.
want to say I told you so. I don't want to blow our own horn, but toot, toot.
There you go. So yeah, any chance to do something like that, it's going to be, you gotta toot your own horn sometimes. So
Yeah. And I also did not anticipate breaking the biggest news I think ever in the Atlanta United fandom. I
yeah.
asked it on a whim. I was like, "There's no way he knows." And then the ball was dropped, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Uh-huh. So we now have the answer to the burning question from training camp.
We do.
It is Javier Armas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want folks to watch. I want folks to watch the entire show. But is there a short version to explain why Javi does what he does?
There is. He basically explained it just that like it's more of like a health thing. And it's a little bit like less heavier than like creamer or anything like that, or like milk. And he told me, he was like, listen, he's like, I didn't expect it to cause a lot of controversy. and I was like, he was like, but listen, y'all haven't tried it yet, so you guys can't complain. Now listen, I was talking to one of my good friends yesterday. I was talking to Sonia. I don't know if any of y'all know Sonia, but Sonia's great. She's awesome. She does stuff for Atlanta United as well. And she was like, Maddie, I guess we're gonna have to go on a coffee date and we're gonna have to try it. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to try butter in my coffee.
Yeah, I think that those of you who drink coffee, report back to me. I'm not a coffee person, never will be. I tried, but no, I've never been a person to sit there and throw anything and everything into hot brown water and try to make it taste good and try to stay awake. So y'all are going to have to report back to me and let me know what you think. For those of you that want to try the butter as an additive to your coffee, however you take your coffee, and then you put butter in it. So yeah, Javi Armas is the answer to the trivia question. So Dax didn't have to narc, and so Javi was the one who admitted to Maddie that he's the one that did the butter in the coffee. So now that now the inquiring minds have let it rip. You now know the answer. You're gonna have to try it for yourself. Report back to me because I ain't doing it. So. But no, let's see. So where is it posted, Maddie? Basically everywhere?
Pretty much. It's mainly on YouTube right now. So definitely go check it out on our YouTube page. It's a lot of fun, and you all should check that out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to watch the teasers, the coffee promo, as well as the teaser are all up on our social medias, kind of previewing what you can expect from the promo. But yeah.
Yes. And so when you can drop an X-Files reference and when you can have ominous music to break news that needed to be broken, then this is definitely the way to do it. So, Maddie, nicely done. Fantastic work. And now that you've put your first opus together, you're not allowed to rest because we got to get ready for Atlanta United 2 on Saturday and the season opener for them at home against Orlando City B. And so you and I got to piece together a pregame show coming up in short order, and we get to hear from Steve Cook and take the tour around the league and MLS Next Pro. So you got some stuff coming up in hour number 2. So we'll catch up with you in a little bit. Nicely done.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
There you go. So Maddie Cruz and the ones and twos, and that's opening kickoff, by the way. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on any of our platforms, on the YouTubes, on the Twitters, and on the Twitch. So you can use that QR code. Go to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it into youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Housekeeping. There's the scarf to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation, building their program from scratch. Last country on the planet to build a national soccer program, and we're helping them do it. We're helping them raise funds so they can come back here to the States and recruit the Marshallese to be a part of the program as they continue to build it. Most of the time being spent in Northwest Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and in Kansas right there at the Four Corners. And they're looking to come back here in October. So you can also see how Maddie has now become an international modeling superstar. on the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation website. And that's the scarf, $32 to help them out. And if you want it shipped, it's $32 and another $5, say. All the proceeds go to the Marshall Islands so they can help build their program. And if you can do it locally, you want it to see Abby in the Amstermobile, she'll bring it to you for $32, and the price of maybe shaking her hand, seeing her, and a hug. So there you go. So Marshall Islands Soccer Federation, that's the scarf. Our friends at Die Hard did some fantastic work, and there's the scarf to prove it. We're helping out our friends at the Marshall Islands, and you can help them out too by buying as many of these scarves as humanly possible and giving them to your friends. So there you go. That's your opening kickoff and your stuff. That's your housekeeping. All right. We've got some things that happened this morning. We've got draws and things and brackets and all of that kind of stuff. And so, as Ricky said this morning, the Champions League draw can be cruel sometimes. And so Manchester City, as a part of this, is going to be facing Real Madrid. And you've got that as a part of it. Arsenal gets Bayern Munich. If City and Arsenal can win their quarterfinals, they get each other in an all-Premier League semi. Atletico Madrid, we're paired against Borussia Dortmund in Friday's quarterfinal draw. PSG will play Barca. The winner of those ties compete in the other semifinals. So that's your rundown of the Champions League. Arsenal, Bayern, Atleti, Dortmund, Real, Manchester City, PSG, and Barca. So it is the 9th and the 10th, the 16th and the 17th, and that's your rundown for Champions League. Also on the board, wasting no time, you end up with the draws in Europa and Europa Conference League. It ends up now with all of that activity going on. Where's my fixtures? It's like, wait a second here. Hang on. All right, Europa Conference League draw live, blah, blah, blah. It was at 7:30 this morning, and so you guys aren't helping me out with all of my clicks here. So, all right. Europa League, Europa Conference League, and the draws, all this kind of stuff that is there. So how the draw works. I don't care how the draw works. I need my matchups. Nothing like not cooperating. You know what I'm saying? All right. So Europa League draw. Liverpool got a favorable draw, according to our friends at TalkSport. And West Ham gets Bayer Leverkusen. Good luck to West Ham. I think Leverkusen's, 28 in a row unbeaten? So West Ham gets Bayer Leverkusen. Liverpool gets Atalanta. And it is, I just want a graphic. Just give me graphics this early in the morning. That's all I want. So 11-2 aggregate, Liverpool over Sparta Prague. West Ham beat Freiburg, but that means that they get Bayer Leverkusen on the 11th and the 18th. Semifinal draw also decided. Liverpool and West Ham set to be kept apart until the final in Dublin. If they were to progress that far, Liverpool or Atalanta will take on the winner of Benfica and Marseille in the next round. The winner of Leverkusen and West Ham will play AC Milan and Roma. Raises the possibility of a final between Liverpool and Bayer Leverkusen, who are coached by Xabi Alonso. And Xabi Alonso is desired, shall we say, by our friends at Liverpool to take over as Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp will be leaving Liverpool at the end of this year. So that's Europa Conference. Let's see if we can we get Europa Conference to help us out? Probably not. So anyway, all right. Europa Conference, that's what it's like. Europa Conference League fixtures and results and all of this kind of stuff. And so it's out there. We got stuff to talk about. Also, this morning, as the whiplash of all of the morning stuff continues, we had some more news about national teams and folks that might not be around for matchups in Major League Soccer. Wiley, Caleb. And a little before the show started this morning, 22 players called up to the men's Olympic soccer team for matches versus Guinea and France. And that is Friday, March 22nd in Spain. They visit the host France on Monday, March 25th. The players include Caleb Wiley that are up for this call-up. 15 players capped by the men's national team led by Gianluca Buccio's 13. 8 players are part of the January training camp. 5 are in their senior debuts. Keepers, Schulte and Slanina. Defenders, George Campbell. That's very cool. Maximilian Dietz, Nathan Harriel, Brian Reynolds, John Tolkien, Jonathan Tompkinson, who plays for Bradford City right now in League Two, and Caleb Wiley. Midfielders, Paxton Aronson, Gianluca Busio, Daniel Edelman, Jack McGlynn, Aiden Morris, Tanner Tessman. Forwards, Byrak Terovich, Cade Cowell, Johan Gomez from Eintracht Braunschweig, Diego Luna, Duncan McGuire, Kevin Paredes, and Griffin Yao. So 10 players have been a part of all 3 training camps so far this cycle. Dietz, Harriel, Reynolds, Tolkien, and Tompkinson, Busio, McGlynn, Tessman, Byrak Terovich, and Gomez. The roster features players from 17 different clubs, 8 from Major League Soccer, 2 from Crew, Union, and Red Bulls, 11 players based abroad, Germany, Belgium, Italy, the Netherlands, and Mexico. So Caleb Wiley on the call-up list as well. Bart Sleesh was called up for the Poland match. Gigi was called up for Greece. So the matchup against Toronto next weekend in Toronto is going to be interesting. So we'll go ahead and say that right now, in addition to everything else involving Atlanta United, that you're going to have to get your points. You're really going to have to make your points. All right. So that's what we're getting into with Atlanta United and keeping our eyes out for national team play. So very, 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 very cool that Caleb Wiley and George Campbell are attached to all of this, and we go from there. So with all of the news that we have this morning, trust me, we got a lot of stuff to get into, and whatever's on your mind as well here on a Freestyle Friday. Once again, hour number 2 is the preview stuff, because we got all 38 leagues to talk about when it comes to everything there. Quick news out of the Premier League this morning. It appears, according to Will Unwin at The Guardian, that our friends at 777, looks like the Premier League is set to rule on 777 partners Everton takeover next week. So our resident Evertonians that are there in the timeline and here as a part of the Twitch pitch and beyond, our resident Evertonians might get their answers next week. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. League Cup groups, Del, came out. They kind of trickled out yesterday, and we'll go over that as we roll here. And Ricky doing the yeoman work that he always does, gets to find the Europa Conference League matchups. And so we have Villa, and it's just I'm looking at Victoria Pilsen and Fiorentina and Club Brugge and PAOK Salonika. Fenerbahce is with Olympiacos, and Lille and Aston Villa. So there you go. So that's your semifinals. Who's going to reach in Athens? You go from there. Let's see. Good morning to everybody who is here. I didn't get to do my Newzoo review welcome this morning. So morning Emilio, morning Ricky, morning Dell with Marseille playing Benfica. No, Villa did not get a good draw. Morning Abby, morning Dell, morning Alex, morning Ricky. So that's where we are this morning. Yes. Yeah, Alex, I do. Alex is absolutely 100% correct when it comes to morning beverages. I prefer not to be able to spell or pronounce the additives in my morning drink. That's why I take the morning drink and put it in a nondescript cup instead of perhaps consuming it from our 2-liter where I would be able to read the ingredients. So that's not going to happen. So, all right. So there's all of that. Let's see. What else do we want to get into this morning? No, Dale, I do not have butter in my coffee, but like I said, I want to know what it's like. I'm not a coffee guy, at all. And so, for me, I looked at that and I was like, yee, orange juice with pulp is the morning drink for Abby, as it should be. I mean, that's right there. I had my raspberry coffee cake kind of deal. And as I sprinted down to the office this morning, group stage schedule in Leagues Cup was announced yesterday. Kicks off with Atlanta and DC at Mercedes-Benz on July the 6th, followed by the first Liga MX MLS match, Pumas and Austin at Q2. Then opening night, the tail end of the triple header is LAFC and Tijuana at BMO at 11 o'clock in Seattle and Minnesota. That one is at Lumen at 10 o'clock Eastern time. Messi and friends begin the defense of their title on the 27th against Puebla at Chase Stadium. Group stage has 15 matches between August 3rd and 6th with the Group East 3 matchup. Now, this is where we all have to get like our big billboards to get all of our groups together. So it's Group East 3. Maybe you call it GE3 or something. I don't know. Tigres, Inter Miami at NRG in front of tens of people, I'm sure. Monterrey and Pumas, they're at Q2. Sunday, August 4th, Chivas and LAG in Carson. And the full schedule out. On the 26th, you get Orlando and Montreal also. So not to exclude folks, but on the 26th, you have 5 matches. 27th, you have 7. Chivas San Jose is a part of that all. And on the 28th, to start things off, you have 3. And then on the 30th, you've got 5, and it goes from there. So what I am going to do, for those of you that want to go down this particular rabbit hole, not that we don't, chase after rabbit holes or anything, but that's the link to the Leagues Cup schedule. Leagues Cup schedule from day 1 carries you all the way through. So if you want to try and track down all of your favorite clubs, where they're playing, when they're playing, those kinds of things, you can do that through the Leagues Cup. Advancing teams, once again, you get through the group stage, round of 32, August 7 through 9, round of 16, the 12th and the 13th, 16th, 17th, and the 2 semis on the 20th or the 21st. Third place match in the final, Saturday, August 25th, to determine who wins the CONCACAF champions, goes to the CONCACAF Champions Cup in 25. And once we get into the eliminations, then they'll figure out what the times are and all those kinds of things. So, busy time for a lot of folks in a bunch of different ways when it comes to knowing what Leagues Cup is. Any questions you guys have about all of it this morning? Ricky, winner of the last 2 Madrid City ties, have won it all. I see no reason for this year to be any different. No doubt. De Bruyne apparently also is having more leg issues, hamstring, groin. Keep an eye on that. But when Kevin De Bruyne is healthy, when he's on, it's ridiculous how different Manchester City is. And it will be, I want to know how healthy Kevin De Bruyne is, and I want to know, how Pep Guardiola is going to, use the clutch and the gas when it comes to Kevin De Bruyne. I think that Rodri is also key to the success of Manchester City, and seeing what Phil Foden has been able to do this year, Julian Alvarez, because everybody's and their mother's going to key on Erling Haaland. We know this. So what do you do for your secondary scorers? Alvarez has come up big. Foden has come up big. And then when people gravitate toward Alvarez and Foden, that means that, once again, that guy named Haaland gets open, finds a window, and is able to put the ball in the back of the net. So that's the dichotomy and the challenge that you have in dealing with Manchester City. But keep an eye on the health of Kevin De Bruyne. And if they can, navigate all of these, issues with schedule compression and multiple competitions and such, and let's see what Manchester City can do. This might be one of the more challenging chases for Manchester City when it comes to what they want to do and how they want to do it, and how many crowns and titles they're going to end up with across the board. So injuries. And the other thing is that traditionally Manchester City's, they've always been pretty healthy. They really have. But this particular time through, they're having to deal with all of these injuries and trying to figure out what they have to navigate. So, that's the element in this that we have to kind of keep an eye on here when it comes to Manchester City and how many trophies they're going to win this year, and figure it out. Reminder, by the way, that has nothing to do with Manchester City. Tonight, as I quote Phil Collins, tonight, 5:30 and 7:30, the beginning of the big broadcast weekend here at SDH, over on our live channel, soccerdownhere.mixler.com. 5:30 and 7:30 is our first visit to Perry. And so we get to catch up with the Perry Panthers and Coach Dooley. Not that Coach Dooley, but the coach at Perry coaches both the boys and the girls side. And by the way, when I was doing my early research on the Perry Panthers girls side. They've only given up 3 goals this year. 3. I don't think they've given up I don't think they've given up a goal in a month, or 1 goal in a month. And they have scored 81. So it's going to be a tall order for the Griffin girls tonight, going up against the Perry girls in Perry. Be interesting to see how the region matchup goes here for the girls and the boys. We'll be down there tonight, 5:30 and 7:30, and that'll be at soccerdownhere.mixlr.com. Then tomorrow, 2:30, is the pregame show for Atlanta United 2 and Orlando City B. That one's also over on the Mixlr channel. And then we all get to take a nap and be at Mercedes-Benz for the activity on Sunday with Orlando City, the Purple Team Parent Club, and Atlanta United. And so 7 o'clock Sunday, we're not broadcasting that one. That one's on 92.9 The Game, 6 o'clock pregame with Abe and Garrett and Mike and Jason, and a visit from Garth Lagerway. 7:10 kick, full hour postgame after with Garrett and Abe, with Mike and Jason. Not with Garth Lagerway, but they'll go through and they'll catch up with players and Gonzalo Pineda and get you through all of that. But tonight, 5:30, 7:30 on our live channel, soccerdownhere.mixlr.com, Griffin and Perry for the Friday night game of the week presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Then tomorrow, Atlanta United 2, Orlando City B, 2:30 pregame, 3 o'clock kick. Jason will have the call. Maddie Cruz and I will have your pre-half and your post, and we might be joined by some other folks. So that'll be fun there as well. So a big broadcast weekend for us here at SDH, and we figured that we should let you know where is Perry. Okay, so Perry is about 2.5 hours south of here, south of Atlanta, and it is if you go to Warner Robins, then you're going 75 south. So you take 475 south of Atlanta, you take 75, you take 475 to get around Macon, and you continue going south. So past Warner Robins, the next largest city is Perry. That's where they have, that literally it is the heart of the state. They had a state high school champion for the first time in high school football this past year with Kevin Smith and the Perry Panthers. They won that, and they've done some tremendous work in soccer over the last couple of seasons and just put up some ridiculous offensive numbers. And it's one of the stories that we chased after in Soccer's in Session, because once again, you have one coach for both programs. And so it's been a real interesting dynamic to watch down there. So I do not watch the Disney Channel. I know that you guys went on a Disney Channel reference. You're going to have to help me out there. I don't know where Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated is. That one I don't know. Morning to the West Coast. We're going to get into a USL Championship preview coming up in hour number 2. I don't watch Disney Channel. You're going to have to help me out with Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated. Doobie. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need some help here. That is I am way too old for that. So you got to let me know what's going on with that one. That is a reference that I didn't even get. Ricky, going to be wearing green. Phineas and Ferb. Thank you, Maddie. Maddie with the reference. So Maddie got it. I didn't. Once again, you end up with the the differences in the age groups here. Oh, Phone and Ferb? Phineas and Ferb. That was Phineas and Ferb. So either way, it's a show that is for the youngins on the Disney Channel, and I had no earthly idea about Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated. So yeah, I'm probably going to have to end up pulling doobie. At least we're not the Mets broadcast booth, people. All right, so let's see what else is going on. Yeah, the new kit is being worn Sunday against the Purple Team, and I still laugh at the Atlanta Hawks for releasing it early, accidentally, because you had the players. It was Bogey and was it Bogey and Clint Capella? They go wandering into the State Farm. They're wearing the jersey. It hadn't been released to the public yet, but they're wearing theirs. Atlanta Hawks break the news. They take the pictures, post it to social. Oh, I guess that's the new jersey this year. But no, the Phoenix design, very, very cool. I'm going to the poorhouse. I hope you're happy. So that's what that's what I'm staring at with Atlanta United and the New Jersey, and Ricky's wearing green. I will say this: Ricky's wearing green, but the it's the whole. My grandfather is from Massachusetts. He was born in Lawrence, Mass, 1910, and he was not of the Catholic persuasion. He was Protestant, and so he would tell us growing up that, I guess this is story time with John. He would tell us growing up that they did not wear green on St. Patrick's Day. They wore orange. So you had Protestants wearing orange on St. Patrick's Day in Massachusetts, basically in the Boston area in the early 20th century. So that was kind of one of my first stories from my grandparents about, and specifically my grandfather, because my grandmother was from Tennessee. And my grandfather was like, the standard stereotypic raging grandfather voice. It's like, yeah, we wear green. And so Protestants apparently wore orange on St. Patrick's Day. I don't know if they still do, but of course, I think if they still did, we could figure out who's a Protestant and who's not. But yeah, he was just like, yeah, we didn't wear green on St. Patrick's Day. We wore orange, and that was my first exposure to the difference between Catholics and Protestants. So, but yeah, that's just a random thought that popped into my head. So if you see anybody wearing orange on St. Patrick's Day and they're not wearing the orange dominant, so if they're not wearing green, they're wearing orange. Now you know why. So there you go. That's a quick story time with John, finding out how things were in the Northeast in the early 20th century. But no, thanks for hanging out with us this morning here on a Friday. Whatever's on your mind. Let me ask you this question of the day before we get into other folks and other comments. And specifically, I know David's got a comment about what is up with the match coming up in just a little bit. Whatever's on your mind with Atlanta and Toronto. That's there. With Atlanta and Orlando, I want to know your concerns. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know what you think. I want to know who you think is going to start. I want to know what you're looking for in this one. I want to know what your thoughts are with Atlanta and Orlando. Any other game that's stuck in your head doesn't have to be Major League Soccer. Could be a game overseas. I want to know what's on your mind this weekend and what your concerns are, what you're looking forward to. Since the Atlanta United match is on Sunday, then not Saturday. When your Saturday night's wide open, people, because your Saturday afternoon is going to be locked in with Atlanta United 2 and OCB here on the network. So when we're done, like 5:30, what are you doing on your Saturday? Are you resting up? You taking it easy? You watching games? You watching our guy Kevin Egan on MLS 360? What are you doing? What's your Saturday going to be since Atlanta's playing on Sunday night? So that's the larger question for me. What you doing? I will be catching up with friends for part of the evening. The Mutter race that they have up at Lake Lanier. A friend of mine from high school is coming down. He's running that, and he dragged another high school friend of mine, and they're going to run that race. And so we're going to go for a carb load after the race is over for dinner. So they're going to be up at Lake Lanier. I'm going to be doing Atlanta United 2 and OCB. So my Saturday night will start with pizza and finish up with MLS 360. I know that sounds really exciting. That's incredibly exciting. All right, David talking about what's going on with Atlanta United. He said the Boca out crowd's going to be furious about the Toronto match. Why did our incompetent front office sign so many quality players from countries with national teams that could take them away during our season? It's irresponsible. And you probably have folks saying that. Yeah, schedule came out yesterday morning. Lille is not a problem for Aston Villa. No, they're not. They shouldn't be. They should not be. The way that Unai Emery has been doing his work there at Aston Villa, it's been a fun watch to see. And I will admit that my opinion of Unai Emery turned around. I didn't think that he was given the tools at Arsenal to operate the way that he should for a top club like that. Then he goes to La Liga and carves it up. And now he's back with Aston Villa and doing really well. Like I said, I will put my hand in the air and sit there and go, I misjudged Unai Emery as a manager. I did. Didn't get the tools to operate. And then he was out the door, goes to La Liga, raises hell, comes back, and he's doing really well at Aston Villa. It should not be a problem. Lille should not be a problem for Aston Villa. They should not. I say should not. Anything is possible. So, all right. So, yes, Perry the Platypus. Okay, thank you. So, Perry the Platypus from Phineas and Ferb. Thank you. Goody Mob having the 4. Yeah, same with Goody Mob having the 404 kid early. Abby, son won the New Jersey from the halftime challenge last week. Looks forward to wearing it. You know it. Alex, do I dare wear the Forest kit? Well, here's what you do. Well, first off, let me propose it this way. When it comes to wearing the Forest kit, what's your record wearing the Forest kit? That would be my first question. Do you have the new kit? What other kit would you be wearing? Maybe if you wore a different kit, but do you have other Forest things? Do you have a Forest jacket? Do you have a Forest lid? Do you have a green lid or anything like that? If you're apprehensive about wearing the Forest kit, then maybe you wear something else green. Just saying. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how to put you best at ease, Alex, when it comes to wearing green and being at the match. I mean, is your record not desirable wearing the Forest kit? That'd be my first question. If you got a losing record wearing the Forest kit to a match, I would probably say wear something else green and then wear whatever jersey of choice you have. So Ricky says he's doing it. So maybe for Ricky, when Ricky wears the Forest kit, there's a decent record there. I don't know. Yeah, it was not an accident. The Hawks wearing the kit and being on social. 4-Card refuses to wear green on 317. So 4-Card is a Protestant, or at least has Protestant ties. KFC, his son, Abby's son who won the challenge, being asked stuff all over the city. Are you the halftime challenge guy? Yes. So David, thank you. Yes, canonically, Northern Ireland Protestant Irish referred to as Orange Irish in Ireland. Thank you. Okay. Emilio had a coworker at his first job that wore orange. That's how he first heard of it. Alex, did he just say, what you doing? Channeling Phineas? No, I don't. I don't know this. I don't know this Phineas and Ferb stuff. I know it exists, but any catchphrases are purely accidental. I have never seen a Phineas and Ferb episode ever. But the fact that you guys are talking about Perry the Platypus, I may just have to, yeah. All right. So I'll write it down. I will write it down. Then I'm going to have to pull Phineas and Ferb. All right, writing it down. Phineas and Ferb, doobie-doobie-doo. All right. So I've got to pull that. All right. So there you go. Couple of things that came from our friends at the Athletic, and there's some other stuff there as well. Actually, here, let me roll through the rest of the mail, and then we'll get into other stories. Yes, Perry's the home of the Georgia National Fairgrounds. That is where I saw that. This is where I saw our friend Cody Runnels win a state championship. Saw him win a state wrestling championship at the fairgrounds in Perry in wrestling. And when he was at Lassiter High School, Cody Runnels in his corner had the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, DDP, and Glacier. They were all there in the corner when he won the state championship, and I have the tape to prove it. After the match was over, Cody and all of the family, Cody cut the promo. He put up with me. It was great. And then while we were doing the interview live, Dusty gets his cell phone rings. And he answers the cell phone in the middle of the interview as I'm canvassing all the family. and talking to Cody, and Cody saying that he, and like I said, Cody played along. He was great. He had, great presence at 17. And he played along, so he didn't drop the bionic elbow on the kid, all those kinds of things. Dusty hands me the cell phone after having to exit the frame a little bit, comes back in. He hands me the phone, and he goes, "Here, it's Dustin." And so literally I'm having to talk to Dustin Rhodes on a cell phone in the middle of an interview of Cody as he's won a state championship in wrestling with Glacier and Dusty there with him and the rest of the family. So it was one of the more fun, chaotic situations I've ever been a part of. But yes, that is what Perry means to me. For the longest time, it was the home of the state traditional wrestling championships before they moved it into other venues and such. So, yep, that's where I saw Cody Runnels from Lassiter High School win a state championship. So that's story time with John round 2. Also, this morning. All right, so every time someone mocked a good evening, man powered up another level. Abby may just have the green pin on the lanyard. Let's see. Orange and Black took a lot of stick at Orange County because we wear orange, of course, when we partner with Glasgow Rangers. Yes, that is absolutely true. Ricky is counting on Maddie on indoctrinating me about Phineas and Ferb. There we go. Abby, mistaken not mentioning that that her son has a degree in accounting and MBA and is looking for a job in front of 67,762. We might have a job for him. Yes, send me the YouTube clips. USL show. Athletic article from yesterday from Jeff. Good stuff. From our friend Kaylor Hodges in the USL show. David, the real question is, will John be served corned beef and cabbage for the press box meal? And will the Carvel machine be cranking out Shamrock Shake ice cream? See, these are the inquiring minds questions. These are the questions. And for me, it would be ice cream in the second half. But if it's corned beef and cabbage, that would be strong. I would dig that completely. I would have zero qualm about that. And, corned beef and cabbage. I'd have the corned beef. I'd watch somebody else eat the cabbage. I mean, I'm not, I'm not all that wound up. I'm not all that wound up about it. But, like I say, corned beef, yeah. Cabbage, not so much. So, corned beef and cabbage, the corned beef. And the thing is, in the past, when I was a lot younger and tried to eat things that were green, I had to drown the cabbage in vinegar. Literally had to drown the cabbage in vinegar. But yes, that would be the inquiring minds question. Is it going to be green ice cream? First off, is the Carvel machine going to work? That's always a tough question. And then at the same time, do we get corned beef and cabbage? There is an effort to try to make that the meal. There is an effort. There is an effort. I will say that much. 4-card Lakeside won wrestling in Dalton in '97. Okay, I did not know that. Irish coffee's only in the press box. Ricky, allergic to cabbage. I did not know that was a thing. I did not know that was a thing. Literally did not. Wow. That to me is something that I did not know that. I feel like Johnny Carson all of a sudden. Did not know that. That's wild, wacky stuff, Ricky Ricardo. Did not know that. That's wild. Man, crazy stuff that you learn on a Friday. All right. Once again, heading into the Orlando match, weekend Whiparound, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully rather than later. Boatload of matchups, boatload of leagues. We'll go through all of them. Orlando match on Sunday. Questions, concerns, anticipations, all that kind of stuff. I want to know what you're thinking heading into the match on Sunday night. Emilio's allergic to buckwheat. Wow. I mean, I'm allergic to iodine, and that's about it. I have and technically, and here we go again. All right. Third story time. I have a physical allergy to milk. Not lactose intolerance, a physical allergy. A physical allergy to milk. So if I have anything involving a milk product, 5 minutes later, I literally can take a towel or whatever, and I can rub my forehead, and you can see the grease having come through. You can see after like 5 minutes, I can go, see, look, So I have a physical allergy to milk. A physical allergy. So it was interesting to find that out. It's worse than lactose intolerance. So it is a physical allergy, since we're sharing all of our allergies today. So story time with John, was it 3 or 4? There you go. Yes, we need to score first. And facts, absolutely. Yes, and so David, Maddie explaining Phineas and Ferb to me, and now I'm going to have to explain Johnny Carson to Maddie. It's on Antenna TV, 10 o'clock to 11 most nights, Monday through Friday. Yes, and then Abby says, if we don't score first, there'll be a test to see if we hunker down and come back, because you know that Oscar Pereja, if they score first, it's just going to be one of those things where you're just going to be like, yep, all right, y'all can have it. Ball's got cooties. Don't care. So that's what you're staring at. First and foremost, you got to score first. And you got to get 3 points, because that match in Toronto next Saturday, you're going to be shorthanded. Going to be shorthanded. No Gigi, no Sleege, no Caleb. And that's for starters. For starters. You're not going to have those 3 for various reasons. I think you're going to have Saba. So it's probably Jamal up top. And so your tweaks next week will be some combination of Jamal, Nick Firmino, Shonday on the left, Saba on the right. And then you got to figure out what you want to do for defensive midfielder. Does Dax get a start? Dax and Muyumba going up to Toronto. Yeah. So, I mean, if Luis Abram is away right now, Derek Williams is taking the starting gig, and I know we're talking about a week ahead of time, but it's still going to be Derek at the back, Brooks. You won't have Caleb. So does that mean who slides out wide to the left? Your left back situation might be a little different. You might see Noah. You might see. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this all lays out. But yeah, let's get through first things first. Let's get through Orlando, then we can discuss. Yeah. So and Thiago. So you got to figure out what you want to do for a playmaker. Like I said, that might be Nick Firmino. That might be a Nick Firmino situation. So like I said, it will be intriguing to see what it will look like in Toronto. But let's get through Orlando first. And no, you can't. Orlando's in a rough spot right now. Can't treat it like they are. Nah, you got to take care of you. Get your points. Put your foot on their throat. Don't worry about it. Go from there. It's all good. That's what you got to do if you're Atlanta United. Don't worry about others. Focus on yourself. For Emilia, right now, missing for Toronto would be Caleb, Gigi, Almada. Who am I missing? Caleb, Gigi, Almada, Sleege, off the top of my head. So those 4. And did Stian Gregerson get a call-up? That's another question. I haven't heard of a call-up for Gregerson yet. Of course, I've been focusing on about 98 different things. So if Gregerson got a call-up, then it's probably, who's Toronto missing? Don't know. Sorry, modifiers. Don't know yet. But I don't know if Italy would be calling up Insigne Bernardeschi, but I think they would be less. It would be less folks missing for Toronto than it would be for Atlanta. I haven't heard anything about any call-ups from them. Let's check the Twitters while we're at it. Since we're here, we'll go ahead and check and see who got call-ups. And let's see. Anybody got a call-up? Let's see. Richie Larea got work done on his tattoo. They've got new gear out, plus a giveaway, home openers. Haven't seen anything about any kind of call-ups for them yet. And they also traded Latif Blessing to Houston for some Garber bucks, $275,000 in GAM. So not seeing any call-ups from Toronto, but we'll see what else is there. So my early answer to you, Emilio, is less than Atlanta. But like I said, you got to take care of business here early first. Did you see in our friends at the Blazing Musket? They are the guys that write about everything in the Northeast. It's a Substack account, and they write on everything: the Revs, Hartford Athletic, Rhode Island, Vermont Green, etc. And they caught up with Richie Williams. And he spoke for the first time since everything that went down in 23. And the fact that they talked to him, it's being touted as an exclusive. Richie Williams, they get into, he was head coach, all these kinds of things. Replaced by Clint PA soon after taking over, described by sporting director Kurt Analfo, came after the report in The Athletic that Williams was one, that he was the one that was named as one of the individuals who made complaints against Bruce Arena. So Williams is now the new head coach for Revs 2 in MLS Next Pro, replacing Clint PA, who's now a member of the first team staff under Caleb Porter. And so it was the opportunity to catch up with Richie Williams about the season, this one and last. So, of course, he was asked about it. Our friends at the Blazing Musket did their due diligence. And surprising no one, Richie Williams said this: I don't think we really need to speak about last year. I just kind of want to speak about, and I think we all wanted to speak about kind of the present time now. I think we've all moved forward. Everybody's grown and learned from the past. We're all now moving into 24, looking forward, working with the second team and enjoying coming to work, working with a lot of young, very young, talented players that are eager to perform well and eventually, hopefully, play with the first team in some time. When asked about what he learned from his experiences in 23, he focused on his previous experiences as a head coach rather than anything specific from his time as the interim. Quote, I've done it many times. I've been a head coach elsewhere, just not with the Revs. I've been a head coach in MLS before. Been a head coach with youth national teams. So I do have head coaching experience. I have assistant coaching experience. And I just think when it comes to head coach and assistant coach, obviously a little bit different. The head coach is basically you have the final say, but you have to work. Biggest thing is with the head coaches now, you have to manage and lead everybody that goes from the players to the staffing to backroom staff to everyone in a way to bring the whole group together and help in every way you can bring everybody together to work together when times are tough to lead. That's the difference between the assistant coach and the head coach. There's pros and cons to both. There's great experiences with both. I've done it in the past. I've done both in the past. So this is my position now, and I just move forward with it, end quote. So basically, when Richie Williams was asked to talk about last year, he didn't want to talk about last year. He wanted to talk about this year. I don't think we really need to speak about last year. Not that it won't hover over your head or anything having to do with the day-to-day operations or anything, but it's going to be a specter that hangs over that franchise. So it's there. It's there. It'll be there. It will continue to be there. All right. So also yesterday in The Athletic, Amanda Stavely has apologized to Steve Bruce after alleging that the former manager, quote, didn't even want to come to work. So she said that when the new owners, the PIF, came to take over Newcastle, Amanda Stavely said that Steve Bruce didn't even want to come to work. Needed to be dramatic change because the club had been run in a very different format. And so she apologized for saying that Steve Bruce didn't want to come to work. Speaking at the Bloomberg Power Players Summit in Jeddah last week, discussing the state which the club was in after the PIF completed their takeover. Bruce only managed one game under the new ownership, a loss to Spurs, before being sacked, replaced by Eddie Howe. Received criticism the previous month for flying to Portugal for holiday with Newcastle. At the time, they were at the bottom of the Prem. Stavely apologized to Bruce for her comments on social media. She wanted to clarify a comment she made during a recent speaking engagement. While commenting on Newcastle United at the time of the club's change in ownership, I suggested the club had a coach who didn't want to come to work. This suggestion was not correct. Steve Bruce was fully committed to his role at the club and always came to work during this period. I would like to make clear it was not my intention to question or undermine the professionalism of Steve, who was always professional throughout my dealings with him and committed to achieving the best for Newcastle United. I am happy to clarify my comments, and I offer an apology to Steve for my comments and any unintended consequences. You've got call-ups all over the place for clubs. Kobe Mainu, Archie Gray get their first U21 call-up. And apparently, the Sheffield City Council says an overcrowding incident in the Leppings Lane end of Hillsborough was a near miss after a licensing body investigation. This was back in January of last year. Newcastle traveled to Sheffield Wednesday for a third-round cup tie. Away fans reporting safety issues before kickoff, some having to rip nets away from seating to make space. It's a near miss, according to those that were investigating the Sheffield City Council. Eddie Howe says Anthony Gordon's going to need further assessment to determine his availability because you've got a lot of FA Cup ties this weekend. That's why you've only got, I think, 6 matches in the Premier League. You've got all these, you have all of these FA Cup quarterfinal second time redos this weekend. Gordon picked up a knee injury in the defeat against Chelsea on Monday, replaced in the first half by Jacob Murphy. Newcastle confident Gordon has avoided any serious damage in the knee. Netflix has confirmed a new Jose Mourinho documentary is going to be airing in the next year. Keep an eye on that. Aston Villa striker Ollie Watkins could be available for the West Ham clash. Took a shot to the knee, was pulled after 30 minutes. England contract talks have been consciously shelved ahead of the Euros, according to Gareth Southgate. And hey, did you know that La Liga had another racist incident? Roll the board back to 0, folks. Roll it back. La Liga have reported alleged racist chanting directed towards Vinicius Jr. outside Atletico Madrid Stadium to the Madrid prosecutor's office. Chants took place ahead of the Champions League last 16 clash against Italian club Inter Milan on Wednesday. The home side progressing to the quarters, winning in a penalty shootout. Despite the racist chanting taking place ahead of a match under the jurisdiction of UEFA, La Liga has reported the incident to the Madrid police. So roll it back to 0, people. Well done. Nice job. I can't say I'm surprised. England squad, Germany squad were named for the March friendlies. Ben White has no interest in being a part of the national team. That was one of the issues that came up yesterday. White's name wasn't on it. Ben White, well, he's not interested. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. As we look at other things, because I know we got to get into all of the previews and everything for the weekend in all of the divisions. Once again, our friends at The Athletic. And when you know, as we say, when there's more than one reporter on a story, there's a lot to deal with. This is all the heavyweights at The Athletic. Bogert, Maurer, Reuter, and Tenorio had a sit down with Don Garber and other execs at headquarters in New York City. Garber said, quote, "There's no question now that America has become the ATM for the soccer world. Nothing is off the table for Major League Soccer in terms of how it maximizes Lionel Messi. The mooted pace of change is brisk," in the article, referring to Major League Soccer. Second year, the $2.5 billion 10-year-long streaming deal with Apple. Preparing for the World Cup, the Copa, and more. Maximizing the opportunity, Garber said he thinks Major League Soccer is now a significant part of the global conversation around the sport. Reputation and respect for the league outside of the country is actually greater than it is inside this country, Garber said. The rest of the world looks at the stability of the league, the growth of the league, the energy, the investment behind it. We built a soccer ecosystem in this country over a relatively short period of time. All of that momentum is going to continue to grow over the next number of summers. Admitted schedule congestion will be an issue considering Major League Soccer plays their season during all of the tournaments that are going to be hanging around. Visiting teams will be looking to use MLS facilities for the 2025 Club World Cup and the 2026 World Cup. Garber said, I don't think FIFA is expecting us to play a full schedule during the World Cup in 26. All this creates challenges, but to me, we've been dealing with challenges for nearly 30 years. We've raised the commercial value of the sport in our country in ways where it is now perhaps the most valuable soccer market commercially. Referenced Christian Pulisic, pointed to MLS Next Pro players as the next wave. Will there be a dramatic overhaul in roster rules? EVP Todd Durbin said the league hopes for big changes in the winter, still determining the best course of action. Durbin said, looking at not just changes to the existing system, but what could the world look like if we have a dramatic overhaul? There's a bigger salary budget. If we added more DPs, all the things we're talking about, what if we had 2 super clubs? Nothing's off the table. Already planning the rule change we talked about yesterday, decoupling the DP and the U22 so you could have 3 of each instead of tying one to the other and limiting your numbers. So teams have access to all 3 U22 slots with no DP restrictions. Garber said, when you think about what our spending has been in the past to where it is now, it's been a dramatic increase, so I'm not quite sure what everybody expects. Durbin, everything has to be anchored in fan research, making sure it's actually meeting the expectations of the fans. That we can demonstrate the investment's going to make a change not only to what's happening with fan engagement, but also to the bottom line. Durbin also offered something of a timeline, according to the article, moving at a pretty brisk pace. Opportunity isn't endless. I would suspect we would reach some sort of consensus direction sometime in the middle or end of this year. What that means, we still don't know. Also, Manchester United might have to take on more debt to try and rework the project. Yesterday, we talked about how Sir Jim Ratcliffe has a firm looking at redundancies and budgets inside the club and trying to figure out how many job cuts there will be. They were talking in the hundreds. So it's going to be in like 2 separate waves, but it looks like Manchester United might have to take on more debt as well when it comes to getting done what they want to do. It also looks like it's going to be yet another weekend of replacement officials and replacement referees in Major League Soccer. So once again, keeping an eye on professional referees. If I could spell PSRA officials. Yeah. So it's going to be yet another week of the replacement officials that we have going on there. And so PSRA has been making their points on their social media platforms and such. So once again, another weekend of replacement officials. Martin Ziegler over at the Times, one of the few real reasons to read that paper because of everything that he does there when it comes to all of his investigative work. Ziegler had a couple of dates that were listed. FIFA is announcing a 48-team U17 World Cup, and it's going to be held every year. And the next 5 are going to be in Qatar. U17 Women's World Cup's expanded to 24 teams to be hosted for the next 5 years in Morocco. Along those same lines, CONCACAF has announced that they are going to have their own women's tournament as well, and I'm really looking forward to the impression that is going to build. So the W Champions Cup, first regional championship, it's going to start 24-25 beginning in August with group stage matches. You get to crown a regional club champ, sole qualification route to the new FIFA Women's Club World Cup. The draw for the first edition is going to happen in June. So you've got a W Champions Cup now in CONCACAF to head toward the inaugural FIFA Women's Club World Cup. FIFA has committed to launching that in the near future. What near future means, I don't know. But U17 for the next 5 years, it's going to be held every year. And now, according to Martin Ziegler at the Times, it's going to be held in Qatar. All right. Into hour number 2, we know what that means. This is where we bring in Maddie Cruz for the 1s and 2s. Yeah, and so we'll see what happens here as we preview everything. All right, Maddie, can you explain Phineas and Ferb to me?
Yes, Phineas and Ferb is a great show.
Okay.
Basically, it's about two brothers.
Yeah.
And they like build these crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
And like their sister, whose name is Candace, tries to like stop them. But like every single time she tries to, like it like disappears. Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of different subplots too. You have to watch it. It's really, really good.
Okay. All right. So
it was my childhood.
All right. So Phineas and Ferb, I'm supposed to watch, and I'm also supposed to sit there and drop the references now as a part of our as a part of our.
It also has really good like songs.
As a part of our drop zone, I'm supposed to add this.
They have really good songs too. Like they'll have like songs in each episode, and like they're kind of bops.
Okay. All right, so they're kind of bops. They're not bops, but they're kind of bops.
Some of them are like, okay, that's like fine. But like most of them, I'm like, ooh, they're great.
All right. All right. So let's get into the activity of the weekend, and there's a lot to talk about here when it comes to action all over the place. We're going to get into. We mentioned the announcers when they came online. So follow your favorite announcers, but what we will do is let you know on what side of Apple TV these broadcasts are going to be as we lay out the entire schedule. Once again, this is Major League Soccer. This is USL Championship. This is League One. This is the NWSL. All right. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we actually have two matchups, and this will make it easy for you. It is an entire weekend of MLS activity that is on the free side of Apple TV, so you don't have to have season pass. It's on the free side of Apple TV, but you can still go into your MLS section and watch. 2 o'clock on Apple TV. From Soldier Field, it is Chicago and Montreal. Chicago is more than happy to try and outscore you and have no conscience worrying about that kind of thing. Montreal, we saw what they were able to do last week by going down to take on a somewhat rotated side of Messi and friends, got the Duke and got full points. Chicago is favored at a -105, draws a +266, and CF Montreal is a +275 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. What say you, Maddie?
Ooh, now I need to pull up my app and pull it up.
Okay.
Chicago, it's at Chicago.
Yes, it is at Soldier Field. It is at the spaceship.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
This is an interesting one. I'm going to go for the upset. I'm going to go Montreal.
Okay, so she's got Montreal at a +275. Messi and friends head to D.C., and Abby wants to know the temperature in Chicago. So let me grab the weather, the weather website, and see what the possible temperatures are going to be in Chicago. And I don't know if this is just tied to the airport or if it's actually downtown. Let's see.
Right now, I looked it up. For Saturday, the high is going to be 52 and the low is 35.
Okay, so it should be in the 50s, so it should be fairly manageable when it comes to the weather there in Chicago for this particular matchup. So
there's going to be a lot of wind. Okay. It's like no sun and wind.
Okay, so temperature should be okay, but don't punt the ball high in the air is what you're saying.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff low to the ground. And if you do punt it up in the air, if you're on a goal kick situation, keepers better get out their stingers as opposed to trying to get out their lob wedges. So it should be interesting if the ball is in the air when it comes to duels. That is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Okay. So it should be intriguing. I think the wind will play more of a factor than folks are going to admit, so I'll go draw. DC and Miami. Enter Miami, Messi and friends heading to D.C. No Messi, according to Tata, and they're keeping an eye on his the muscle injury that he might have tweaked in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza in the midweek, and because of that, Messi and friends are a +215 on the road. They are the decided underdog. Draws a +277. DC United's a +112. What say you, Maddie Cruz?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's going to go to DC solely because looking at their record as well, they've been pretty great at home.
Mhm.
The matches against NYCFC 2-0 as well as 3-1 against New England. And Miami has kind of been a bit teetering on the road.
Mhm.
With a couple of different things, but I'm going to go DC.
Yep. Abby, interesting match with Messi and friends in DC. So it will be interesting on a bunch of different fronts. I want to see what they try and do with their offense and how they try to figure out their starting 11 and see how they go from there. Are they just going to try to go up there and rest some starters and try to let the kids feast or famine, or are they going to try to get out of there with a point and set Major League Soccer back a good 15 to 20 years? We'll find out. 3:30 on both the free side of Apple TV and Big FOX. It is Seattle hosting Colorado. We got to have Nico Moreno talk about it yesterday and what he's anticipating, because you don't know which Colorado you're going to get, and Seattle needs a get-right game. Seattle's a big favorite at a -175. Do I need to go any further?
No. Yeah, it's probably going to be Seattle.
Okay. 7:30. Got a couple, and I think our buddy Kevin Egan's probably going to be kicking it in the 8:30 window with our friends at MLS 360. Crew and Red Bulls. This one is at 7:30, and it's at the Death Star. It's at lower.com field. Your juice boxes in this one, Crew favorite at home, no real surprise. Not really a huge favorite. They're a -112 with Emil Forsberg and Red Bulls coming to town. Red Bulls are a +305. Do I need to go any further?
No, but I think it's going to be an interesting game because I don't know. I have a feeling that it could be a draw.
Okay.
Because I mean, I don't know. I like you said Columbus and Red Bulls, and I immediately was like, whoa. Like I just didn't don't know why. I don't know. It could be interesting. I'm gonna go draw for this one. I think they're gonna draw.
Okay. All right. So then the other 7:30, NYC and Toronto. And this is the one that's intriguing to me because Toronto, with their start, is a +376. NYC, with their start and the lack of offense, because last time I checked, I thought you had to put the ball in the net to score goals. NYC is having problems offensively. Yet they are favored at the U12 pitch, otherwise known as Yankee Stadium. They are a -139. NYC is the decided favorite here to -139. Toronto FC is a +376. Your draw is a +281.
Well, I mean, I get it because, NYCFC are the only people who can play on their small field up at Yankee Stadium. But I think I'm shocked that they're the favorite because of their record. I just think they have not been playing well. I mean, they lost to the Timbers at home. I think it's either going to be a 0-0 draw or Toronto's going to come out on top.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I think that I don't know if Toronto is going to adjust well to the regulation surface that is Yankee Stadium. And yes, I did just use Abby. They're playing everywhere this year. And yes, it was a bye week for Greg. Greg is traveling, and Parky's getting ready for the home opener for Rhode Island Football Club. So it's a bye week for our friends at Beyond Goals. People have issues adjusting to Yankee Stadium and having to sit there and figure out, okay, if the field is 7 to 10% smaller, how do I adjust with all of my passing lanes and all this kind of stuff? I think it's just weird. Hey, City ain't paying me, Ricky. Yeah, they're playing at Yankee Stadium. They're playing at they're playing at Shea, and I think they're playing some Open Cup games at Rutgers. I mean, not Rutgers. What's the Fordham? I think they're there as well. So, yeah, they're still at Yankee Stadium, and so they're playing in like every possible venue. They're playing in every possible venue. Oh, goodness gracious. Alex Bassine doing the Lord's work, and people better buy it now. That's all I can say.
Oh, I want it so bad.
Oh, that is tremendous. And by the way, so for those that All right. So for those that haven't quite clicked on the link, there is a special edition Yorgos Yakimakis t-shirt that is absolutely ridiculous. Oh my God, you better get it now.
Are you gonna wait until after the show to try and snag it?
Oh God, no. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna multitask. So there's a t-shirt out there with Gigi after the hat trick. And it is a limited edition team store pickup only. And it's the quote, "I don't need to send a message. They know me." Buy that now. I rarely sit here and say buy something. And I just fibbed because I always say anything that comes across my bow, I end up wanting to buy anyway. But the "they know me" quote is on a shirt. Get it. But the only problem is that you got to go to the team store and get it. So you got a team store pickup only. MLSPA is doing some fantastic work on the hurry. That is tremendous on the hop. Good work, MLSPA and Atlanta United. I hope Gigi makes a fortune with his cut in the percentage. That's tremendous. The "they know me" quote is on a t-shirt. Lord help us. Fantastic. All right. David says it's not Shay anymore. It was Shay when Carson was on the air. That's absolutely correct, yes. Yeah, see, folks of a certain vintage know all about that. Oh, that shirt's going to sell out. They're playing at Shea. They're playing at Yankee Stadium. They're playing, like I said, I think they're playing at Fordham for Open Cup. So yeah, they're playing wherever they can find a joint. Find a joint to play in. They're going to play it this year. But this one is at Yankee Stadium, and it's going to be chaos. I still have a thought of taking the over, but it's at 7:30 at night. So my guess is it's going to be pinball. I don't know if NYCFC can score. I think that Toronto maybe scores one. So I'll take the over. I'll take the under going against my better judgment, and I think Toronto gets the win. 8:30. This is probably where our buddy Kevin Egan is going to be taking over with MLS 360 with BWP, Sasha, and Kalen Kyle. Austin at Q2 with Philadelphia, and the line itself has collapsed to where each team is the same number to win. They have zero faith in either side being a definitive favorite here, with the first choice lineup that Philadelphia had in midweek getting hammered in the CONCACAF hemispheric extravaganza. Then you got to turn around and go to Austin. So basically each team to win is like a plus 162 or 3, and Philadelphia Union, the draw option is a plus 244. So that's where we are. With that, what say you, Maddie Cruz?
I think they're going to draw.
Okay. No real surprise. FC Dallas, Vancouver at 8:30. FC Dallas is a plus 122. Vancouver on the road south of the border is plus 216, and the draw is a plus 247. What say you?
Ooh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This one I'm a little tossed up on. I'm going to go Vancouver solely because of just the way FC Dallas has been playing recently. They're coming off of, a 2-game losing streak, and Vancouver's coming off this high against their win against the Quakes away, might I add.
Yes.
So I think they're obviously playing another away game, and I think they have that going into them. So I'm going to go Vancouver.
Okay. I'll go Dallas at home. It won't be the prettiest thing in the world, but they'll get it done. All right. Houston and Portland. We know what Portland can do at home. We know that Portland will be driving their fans crazy because they'll either wipe folks out or they will get a lead and frustrate them and surrender said lead. So there you go. Houston at Hell in a Shell is a minus 105. Your draw is a plus 261. Portland is a plus 277. Oh, what say you?
So originally when I saw it, I originally was going to say Houston. Mm-hmm. But looking at the record at home, I'm going Portland.
Okay. So you're going with Portland in the plus 277. I see how you're working here. I think Houston gets it done just because of travel and all these kinds of things. So I'll go Houston here, and we'll see what's going on with Houston and Portland. Portland's been known to score a lot, and we'll see what our buddy Glenn Davis gets to watch at 8:30 as Portland comes to town to take on the Houston Dynamo. Also at 8:30, the Loons, who have their new head coach. I think he's on this side of the Atlantic. I think he is. And by the way, I just got my GG t-shirt. I think Eric Ramsey is on this side of the planet. I'm not sure. But gradually, perhaps, possibly, probably, that they'll have a coach. And you'll end up with Eric Ramsey coaching a team that he wants to be young and fast. And there are 4 players on the current roster that are older than he is. LAFC's coming to town with their offense. Probably the play here is the over. LAFC's the favorite, the road favorite at a plus 137. Draws a plus 263. Minnesota United is a plus 181. What say you, Maddie Cruz?
Ooh, sorry. I'm in the process of trying to get my GG shirt as we're doing this. Oh, gosh. I'm going to go Minnesota.
Okay. You're going with Minnesota on that one. Understandable. I still don't have a whole lot of faith in Minnesota right now. And I'll go LAFC, but I think my play more than picking a club is going to be the total. And I will go with the over. Also at 8:30, Nashville taking on Charlotte. We know what happened in Nashville in the midweek, and they did not fare well against Messi and friends in the CONCACAF tournament. They are now out of the tournament. Walker Zimmerman had how did Gary Smith phrase it? How did he phrase it? The somewhat what did Gary Smith say when it came to how he was phrasing the injury with Ben Wright? And I've got to go back and find Ben Wright's quote now. Ben Wright on Gary Smith discussing Walker Zimmerman. So Ben Wright, it's the fairly not invasive, what have you. Where is it? Not the back line. It's the other quote. Not the fairly non-invasive procedure. Walker Zimmerman that might be kept out 3 to 4 weeks on a fairly non-invasive procedure. So Gary's not happy with his defense. He's not having Walker for the next 3 to 4 weeks. And you end up with Charlotte coming to town, and they are still the massive underdog at a plus 194. Nashville is a plus 144 at home. Don't know what the lineup's going to look like. Gary Smith's not happy with the back line. He's not going to have Walker Zimmerman. What say you, Maddie Cruz?
They have Charlotte as the underdog?
Yeah, Charlotte's a road underdog at a plus 194.
Interesting. I mean, because looking at the matchup, especially with Nashville and everything going on with it, especially what's going on in their back line, I think if they were to get a couple goals up, I don't think it would be a clean sheet. I think Charlotte would come back. So for that, I think it's either going to be a tie with multiple goals scored. I'm thinking a 2-2 draw, or Charlotte's going to come out on top.
Okay. All right. Like I said, this will be one of the more intriguing matchups at 8:30. Also at 8:30, Sporting hosting San Jose. San Jose's in a world of hurt. They haven't figured out how to score, and they're at a plus 400 going to Sporting, who's a minus 145. Do I need to go any further?
No, you don't.
Okay. Yeah. As I had fairly anticipated that might be, and that might be the case.
Yeah.
Late game Saturday, LAG and St. Louis City. So it's all caps on the road, taking on the Los Angeles Galaxy in Carson. LAG is a minus 127. St. Louis City, all caps, is a plus 300. Draws north of that. What say you?
Ooh. I'm gonna go LA Galaxy.
Okay. I think that Paintsel, Peck, and Puig, the P3, the what is it? The cheese? Was it the cheese and the nuts and the what's the snack that you can get for the P3? The one that helps you out with your vitamins that you can get in the snack aisle in the refrigerated. See, I was trying to be clever and I couldn't think of the third thing that's a P3 snack. But I know it's like cheese and nuts, and I can't think of the third one. So anyway, that's a P3 for our friends with the LA Galaxy. The protein snack, the P3 protein snack, turkey, almonds, and Colby Jack cheese, or turkey, ham, and cheddar, something like that. So the portable protein pack, otherwise known as Paintsel, Pooge, and Peck for your LAG. So I'm going to go with the Galaxy at home, see what happens there. But yes, your protein pack for the LA Galaxy, I think it's going to be a fun one. St. Louis is probably going to score goals. I think LAG is going to score more. Sunday, Revs in Cincinnati. Once again, two teams that were in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza in the midweek, having to do a quick turn. Cincinnati is a plus 200, and the Revs are at home, and they are a plus 119 in the composite. Draws a plus 277. What say you, Maddie Cruz?
Ooh. I think... Ooh, this is hard.
Mm-hmm.
I always hate having to choose because I'm like, I just don't know. I'm gonna go Cincy.
Okay. It will be interesting on a bunch of different fronts because you wonder what the lineup is going to look like. You wonder what the offense is going to look like. So this one might be a glorified kickabout. I don't know if you're going to end up getting a whole lot of goals out of this one, especially on the turf at Foxborough. So I'll go draw. Not very exciting, which leads us to Atlanta and Orlando City. 7 o'clock, 7:10 kick at Mercedes-Benz with you and 41+ thousand of your closest personal friends. Purple team comes to town at a plus 283 to win. Draws the same. Atlanta United to win is a minus 114. Instead of picking, what are your keys in this one? This is like on College Game Day, where since we have ties to the club, I want your keys in this match instead of picking a club. Even though I know what direction you're going to go, I want your keys in this one for Atlanta United going up against the purple team.
Yeah, I mean, I think at least keys for me more specifically is keep the momentum. We got a lot of goals. We scored a lot in that last game, and it's storming over here.
Yeah, you got thunder.
But I think you have to keep the momentum. We had a really good game against New England, and you got to keep that going forward. And I think Giacomakis getting on this train and getting hype and getting his momentum going, I think that's going to fuel into it so much more. Because I think Giacomakis is like the engine kind of our team. He does a really good job of just getting hype and getting players bought in for it. I also think another one needs to watch out for that back line. We got a 4-1 win, but we still conceded a goal. We didn't get the clean sheet. So I think, you got to watch out for that defense. You got to be solid in the back line and not make these mistakes and, just kind of use the momentum from the New England game, clean up some of those messy moments, and come into Orlando ready and alert, because Orlando, there's always the pattern. Orlando will come into this match. They'll be really bad throughout the season. They'll come into the game against Atlanta, and it's like they ate something before they came to Mercedes-Benz. And then they go AWOL. So just stay alert, stay consistent, and stay focused. Don't get caught up in the emotion of it all.
Yes, because we all know what it means to be alert, because we need to do those kinds of things. So, all right, that is your rundown of everything in Major League Soccer. Like I said, it's a very, very busy weekend across the board, and with the weather that you heard through Maddie's microphone, just make sure that you guys take it easy today. Reminder once again: 5:30, 7:30. We're in Middle Georgia in Perry for Griffin and Perry. Boys and girls, soccerdownhere.mixler.com. Tomorrow, 2:30 pregame, 3 o'clock kick, Atlanta United 2 and Orlando City B on the network, soccerdownhere.mixler.com. And then we all recover, and then we all go to Mercedes-Benz on Sunday. Man, Maddie, what did you do to attract all this thunder all of a sudden?
Y'all, I don't know. It just happened. And I just, it's all over. I don't know what's happening. I'm a little nervous because we have a lacrosse game at 4.
I don't know about that.
I don't know either.
I don't know about that lacrosse at 4, but we'll keep an eye on it. So that's why Maddie is not in Perry tonight, is because she has the first round of action at the Fraction with the lacrosse team in Kennesaw State. I have held off on discussing the other topic involving FC Cincinnati and friend of the show, Laurel Failer, on purpose. All I'm going to say is this. When it comes to journalism, we have to do our job. What we try to do here on the morning show and with everything that we do here on SDH, we always try to give you the story with as many different sections of details as possible. We always try to give you perspectives. And when it comes to the issue, it's like, all right, here's the issue. Here's what one side is thinking. Here's what the other side is thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that discussion when it comes to telling stories, doing interviews, doing in-depth pieces is sourcing.
Yep.
And when you are chasing after information, there are times where individuals will talk to you, but they will do so anonymously. Because for one reason or another, they don't want their name put out there that's attached to a story. And yes, one of the issues involving the Society of Professional Journalists is that you have to be careful of agendas and that you have to make sure that you are presenting it as best you can, making sure that you are wise to possible thought patterns of folks that you interview. When you identify those individuals in your story, if they do not wish to be identified by name, there are ways to go about identifying sources, and there are ways to properly identify them without giving away their identity or their place in the attachment to the story.
Yeah.
When FC Cincinnati decided, Laurel Failer wanted nothing to do with making any of this public about her credential being pulled for 2 matches.
Yeah.
Because of, apparently, according to the club, 3 instances where she went, and I've got to find I'm going to read what FC Cincinnati said. There were 3 instances, apparently, where she went outside of professional decorum to gain information. So here's what FC Cincinnati said, and this is in paragraph 3 of the release yesterday. We had no intention of making this story public. However, since Laurel Failer has driven public attention to the matter, we have no choice but to provide answers to the many questions our fans are asking. Laurel has failed to act in accordance with the standards and practices of the Society of Professional Journalists and the MLS Notice of Credential Use Condition. She refuses to accept responsibility for her actions, despite multiple conversations and attempts at working to forge a productive relationship between her and the club. Out of professional decorum, we will not be sharing the details publicly. The decision to temporarily rescind her media credentials is meant to serve as an opportunity to reflect and rebuild based on trust, transparency, and an adherence to a common set of standards and ethics associated with her role as a journalist in the spirit of all for Cincy. We hope to move forward in a positive manner soon. Now, Laurel, in her response to this, basically yesterday said she wasn't going to be bullied. And what she said, I will not stand for bullying, but for now, this is my lone response to FC Cincinnati's statement of attack on me in response to others standing up for me. Quote, I strongly disagree with the statement that I violated any journalism ethics or MLS credential guidelines. Last week, when I asked for examples as to why I had lost credentials, I was told 3 situations where I spoke to sources outside of the facility or team-approved interviews. I do not believe simply talking with sources within the team is how to cover a professional franchise. I believe the fans deserve more, end quote. So Laurel, when she initially had her credential pulled, she apologized that she wouldn't be able to give the traditional game day coverage that she does.
I saw that.
And so She did not want to make this an issue. She did not want to dwell on this. She wanted it to basically be, okay, here's what happened. And she spoke to it in full disclosure. I am part of her Patreon in Queen City Press. We've had her on the show before. I give to her Patreon so she can continue to do the work that she does up there in Cincinnati. For Laurel, like I said, she didn't want to talk about it. It's like, okay, here's what's going on. I figured you should know this. But she didn't want to talk about it any further.
Which her being transparent about it, that's what you want. I read that and I was like, okay, yeah, absolutely. She's being transparent and she was being very, very respectful with it all. At least that's what I interpreted from it.
Yeah. And so from there, you had a lot of folks come to Laurel's defense. And then yesterday, FC Cincinnati decided, because of folks who were standing up for Laurel and disappointed in the stance of the club at 6 o'clock last night decided to post the 3-paragraph plus 1 sentence and a colon response. So FC Cincinnati, in paragraph 1, they said they've never rescinded a reporter's credentials in 7 years. Since their founding, they've supported local journalism and coverage, news media, bloggers, no issue with critical yet professional coverage of the team, as it is the passion of the fans for a successful team that drives the intensity of our support while we aim to proudly represent the community. Paragraph 2 was the one I just read. We had no intention of making the story public. Laurel Pfaller did not want to make the story public.
No, she did not.
Basically said, this is the deal. This is the only thing I'm saying about it. Folks came to her defense. And then at 6 o'clock last night, FC Cincinnati decided that they wanted to post a sentence with a colon and 3 paragraphs explaining what was going on.
I think them saying that she was the one who did that, I think, is ridiculous. Because she was simply telling her viewers and everyone who listens and watches and reads her column, hey, this is what happened. Here's the situation. I won't be covering it, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And, was doing that. I think for them to kind of sit there and just say that, oh, well, we didn't want to make it public. I'm like,
but you made it public.
But you made it public. That it doesn't make any sense to me.
So you got that dichotomy of all of this. And then you have, Cincinnati Enquirer has come to her defense. You've got a lot of other folks who've come to her defense. And like I said, Laurel has been nothing but stand up to us. She's been great. She's pulled back the curtain on a lot of things with the FC Cincinnati for us here on the show. And for FC Cincinnati to invoke the Society of Professional Journalists, that's a road I don't know. I know where they were going in their defense. And I actually, when this came out, once again, at 6 o'clock last night, news dump territory, 6 o'clock last night was when that came out. I went and looked at the ethics committee positions for the Society of Professional Journalists just to see if I could see where FC Cincinnati was coming from. The Code of Ethics on Anonymous Sourcing from the SPJ. 1, identify sources whenever feasible. The public is entitled to as much information as possible on sources' reliability. Point 2, always question sources' motives before promising anonymity. Clarify conditions attached to any promise made in exchange for information. Keep promises. Those are the two tenets that SPJ Ethics Committee position papers have in dealing with anonymous sourcing. I imagine that's the wall that FC Cincinnati is trying to build here. That's their reference point. But when it comes to creating stories, whether it's an interview piece or what have you, and a lot of folks were pointing to a piece that she wrote involving Gerald Niekamp, the former general manager of FC Cincinnati in their lean years. When you identify someone as sources close to a story, we would not be able to do what we do if we did not have anonymous sourcing and background individuals in piecing stories together.
Absolutely. I mean, that kind of breaks down the whole idea of journalism.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, I wanted to go the extra mile and see if I could figure out where FC Cincinnati was coming from, because when you reference the SPJ, that's an interesting tack to take, and I don't know if in this particular situation that the SPJ would be on the side of FC Cincinnati in this. Sometimes you've got to come up with sourcing from independent places. And sometimes those sources don't want to be named. Not every story is going to have every individual tied to it. So if someone's mad, they can go after the individual that's named and go, bruh, you said this about me in an article. That's not how this works.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it seems like that almost like Cincinnati's upset at something she might have like posted. But I mean, I obviously I follow more Atlanta United stuff from the article standpoint, but I have heard of Laura as well. And every single time I've looked at her stuff, I loved everything that she does. She's a very credible journalist, and I'm also like very happy to have a female in that area in the journals covering all things Cincinnati sports as well. It's hard like finding that inspiration. I think it's great that she's doing what she's doing, but that's a weird situation. I don't think Cincinnati went about it the right way at all.
And so, she is continuing to, try and work as best she can when it comes to all of the articles that she does. And, the Bengals have yet to, have yet to sit there. I mean, she covers a lot of things in the Cincinnati area. It's not just FC Cincinnati, but a lot of folks have attached themselves, to her work with FC Cincinnati because that's where we are in season currently. So I'm going to go back, and it's a week, and I think that this is the particular article that FC Cincinnati might be concerned about. March 4th, she had a Q&A with former GM Gerald Niekamp, and she goes back and discusses it, and it's also a podcast and all these kinds of things. And so this one might be the one where FC Cincinnati might be they might have had their feathers ruffled a little bit. So that, like I said, that one for me, honestly, because a lot of her stuff with FC Cincinnati is game day stuff. And so the only thing I can figure is that it had to do with this particular piece with a former GM who was fired in August of 21 after their third straight losing season. They parted ways. So what she decided to do was catch up with somebody who was no longer employed by the club, do a sit down to reflect on his time with the club, players he signed, role in the recent success, and what he sees for the future of Major League Soccer. Literally, that is the only thing that I can think of is that article, catching up with a former employee that has rankled the front office of FC Cincinnati. But it goes back to the idea of, one, she didn't want to make a big deal out of it. She didn't want to make an issue out of it. But because of public support, FC Cincinnati felt compelled to say something about it when Laurel Pfahler didn't want anything said about it.
Well, first of all, if Cincinnati is really upset by that article, I don't see why they should be upset about that article. You know what I mean? I mean, she's just catching up with one of the former GMs. It wasn't like she was having a sit down where they were trash talking Cincinnati. They were talking about his time with the club, the players he brought in, and they were talking about what this means for Major League Soccer, the development going forward.
Mm-hmm.
If I read that, I'm like, I don't see anything wrong with that. If anything, I think it's a really good story. Yes. Why not?
So, and the thing is, and so in the paragraph, once again with FC Cincinnati, they say, and this is the money paragraph. Once again, we had no intention of making this story public. And then their last sentence in the same paragraph, out of professional decorum, we will not be sharing the details publicly. Isn't that the same thing that when you have a writer who doesn't want to name every single source in a story, they have anonymous sourcing, then the club that is mad about 3 instances, apparently, that Laurel went outside of the SPJ and MLS Notice of Credentials, Use, and Conditions, then you have, out of professional decorum, we will not be sharing the details publicly. So you're mad, but you don't want to say specifically what the details are about being mad for a story that you had no intention of making public, but you made public even though the writer said she didn't want it to make it public and didn't want to talk about it. I think I've got that correct.
Yeah. No, you got it correct.
So that's, like I said, that's where Cincinnati is. That's literally what I wanted to say about it, because I know that it is a topic, and Laurel has been on the show, and I know that folks are looking at that FC Cincinnati right now and all of that. So it was just, we needed to address it quickly. Didn't really turn out to be as quick as I thought it was going to be, but once again, just know where FC Cincinnati is coming from in the Laurel Pfahler situation. And a lot of folks, I mean, nationally, have come out here and in support of Laurel Pfahler with everything that she's done. The next step will come to FC Cincinnati, and we'll see where they go from here. Okay, now let's get into, and once again, the whiplash continues, because we got like 13 minutes. And USL Championship this weekend, I'll go through all these quickly, because then we'll set up League One, and we'll set up what Maddie did, and it's going to come out later today. El Paso is in 3 matches in a week, beating Monterey Bay in the midweek. They've got Lou City coming to town to Southwest University Park, and both teams are basically just under plus 150 to win. Probably going to be a draw at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Loudoun's taking on North Carolina FC. Loudoun's favored at home at a plus 137. Memphis 901 and our buddy Stephen Glass, minus 103 as Indy 11 comes to town. Night side. The Miami FC, who according to our buddy Kaylor Hodges might be the wooden spoon in the Eastern Conference, they get to host Sacramento Republic. Good luck. Good luck on that. Sacramento's a minus 102. Pittsburgh is hosting Orange County. Very interesting matchup here. Riverhounds at Highmark favored at a plus 112. Tampa Bay at 7:30 hosting San Antonio. Tampa Bay favored at a minus 120. 8 o'clock Colorado Springs hosting Detroit City. Colorado Springs favored at a minus 141. Vegas Lights hosting Tulsa. With all of the investment that they have made in the offseason, Vegas Lights are favored at home. When was the last time that you saw at a plus 120? Monterey Bay hosting Phoenix Rising. Phoenix Rising is a road favorite at a plus 136. Monterey Bay, once again, who played in the midweek, had to travel from El Paso, go back to Monterey Bay, play at Cardinal. They're a dog at a plus 159. Oakland Roots, in their new cool jersey, they're hosting the Charleston Battery, and Dell will be up late for that one. Charleston Battery on the road, a dog at a plus 163, and Oakland is a plus 156. So that gets us to League One. And what's not in England League One and U.S. League One. Let's just sit there. You hit League One and it gives you something else. So League One, you got 5 matchups this weekend, and this is where we bring in Maddie Cruz once again to talk about things. Today, 7 o'clock, Lexington and Chattanooga. Lexington is a plus 102 at home. Chattanooga Red Wolves are a plus 220, and your draw is a plus 254. What say you, Maddie Cruz?
Ooh.
Oh, I was just having you promote the interview. I wasn't having you give something.
Listen, you set it up in the way where I thought we were doing what we did last time. We were given these things.
Nope.
No, I mean, after talking to Darren Powell yesterday, I mean, obviously you're going in a weird direction with the club. It's their second season in League One, and they're building up. And he's first year head coach. And they brought in a lot of really, really good talent on their roster. And, obviously they had that 0-0 tie, their first game of the season. But it's about rebuilding and developing a program over there. And one of the biggest things we did talk about in our conversation was developing. We talked a lot about developing players from the academy as well, and kind of his experience with that and how he's done that in other clubs that he has been a part of.
So here's 2 good minutes-ish with Darren and Maddie previewing the interview that is on the network with the head coach of Lex SC, Darren Powell, and our Matty Cruz. Provided I could, I don't know, boost the audio and maybe actually let people hear it.
They have that academy set up, and then they also have second teams and then building up to getting to the first team. How are you taking that and trying to establish something like that at Lexington?
No, 100%. I mean, I think, look, if you're a young aspiring player, you like to see it. And as soon as you can get around it, you see it, you taste it. That's what, those young players want to aspire to be there. So that's what we need to create. You've got to create a good product at the top end of the first team. So that's something you really want to be. And, there's nothing like a feeling for a young player to go and represent your hometown team. So that can be a great starting point in careers. Now, does everyone aspire just to play for that team? Maybe not. It may be, Barcelona, Manchester United. You've got to have those big dreams, but there has to be a starting point. And part of that pathway can include, your hometown team now for a young Lexington player. So for me, creating a clear pathway for players so they know if they're performing well, they can see that next level. So even a U12, if he's doing really well, can we put him with the U14s? So you create that smooth transition throughout the club, and that's done by communication, working together, helping the coaches. So we're just in the infancy of that here, but creating that clear pathway for young players to aspire to be at the next level, and that next level can be for a U12 at the U14. So they can see that. We managed to play a couple of boys during preseason that did a really good job. So it was nice to get them in games, and those young men will continue to continue to improve, and they get a taste of it. And when you talk to those boys, they're super excited, and I know they're representing Lexington in the Academy Cup this weekend. So, but they get super excited and they want to come back. So, maybe school holidays and spring breaks and summer, we can incorporate them. So then what they do is then they tell the friends on the team when they go back to their club teams, and it gets this excitement and buzz, and players want to do that. So that's what pushes development, and you want to just make sure that they can see that and see that integration between coaches, between players, and between teams.
Fun conversation that Matty had with Darren Powell, the head coach of Lex SC, and that'll be up on the network today to get you ready for Lex SC and Chattanooga Red Wolves, 7 o'clock tonight in USL League One. And you can catch that matchup on ESPN+. Tomorrow, 4 matches, including Forward Madison dropping by Tormenta. Spokane favored at home for their first ever match in league history at home. Richmond having to travel from one end of the world to the other. Spokane's a plus 118. Charlotte Independence and 1 Knox. The interview that Maddie had with Marky McKeever is up on the network as well. You can go to our Spreaker app, go to Spreaker.com, and then do a search for Soccer Down Here. You can hear the interview with Marky McKeever. Charlotte favored at a plus 102. We also have the interview with Mike Jeffries, the head coach and general manager there in Charlotte. Tormenta favored at home at a plus 108. Forward Madison's a plus 200 on the road. And the late game, Central Valley Fuego hosting the Murder Owls of Union Omaha. Central Valley is a big underdog. Union Omaha is a minus 147 on the road at Central Valley. That one's 10 o'clock tomorrow night. So maybe after listening to Atlanta United 2 and OCB, you get some 7 o'clock, you get some 10 o'clock, and so it'll be a fun night. Get all of your devices charged and make sure that you are keeping up with everything going on in the world of soccer this weekend. Once again, very, very busy weekend here. Today, 5:30, 7:30 in Perry, Griffin and Perry, the dominant girls side going up against Griffin in the first match at 5:30. Boys side should be real competitive as well for the matchup at 7:30 on the boys side. Griffin and Perry, soccerdownhere.mixler.com. Very, very busy weekend starts with that. Then we turn around, we head north, we go to the Fraction tomorrow, 2:30 pregame, 3 o'clock kick, Atlanta United 2 and OCB, Orlando City B once again, soccerdownhere.mixler.com. And then we all get some rest. We watch a lot of soccer, vegetating, perhaps having a meal. And then 7 o'clock Sunday, it is Atlanta United and Orlando City, the purple team coming to town. 7 o'clock, 7:10 kicks, 7 o'clock air, and we will see what happens there. So it's a busy weekend across the board. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we go. And we actually almost have made it through the day. Biggest thing, everybody stay dry. Stay away from all the thunder that's going on out there right now. I was going to apologize if everything collapsed and crashed, because it would have been something based with the weather. But gossip out there right now. Chelsea looked like they fear they're going to miss out on Victor Osimhen in the summer. PSG and Arsenal apparently are nudging ahead of them in the race. Manchester United's Marcus Rashford not expected to move to PSG this summer, on thoughts that he might be the one to replace Mbappe. Juve's Weston McKennie has emerged as a target for Manchester United, with him identified as an alternative to Real Sociedad's Martin Zubimendi. Getafe will be unable to keep Mason Greenwood beyond his loan spell, as Manchester United have decided to sell him to the highest bidder, starting price close to €50 million. Manchester City decided to postpone talks over a new contract for Kevin De Bruyne, who just has over a year remaining on his current deal. Remember, De Bruyne negotiated his last deal himself, and probably the health issues that we're currently seeing with De Bruyne are the reason why they've pushed the talks back. Chelsea chasing Bournemouth defender Milos Kerkez, but face competition from Manchester United. Villa confident they'll be able to keep Douglas Luiz despite interest from Arsenal. Gareth Southgate revealed he told the FA to hold talks about his future until after the Euro. Former Manchester City, current Saudi Arabia coach Roberto Mancini has emerged as an option for Newcastle if they decide to replace Eddie Howe this summer. Newcastle want to speed up Dan Ashworth's exit to Manchester United, as Monaco's sporting director Paul Mitchell heads a short list of candidates to replace him. No word on whether or not he'll be able to fix folks' hair. Bruges and forward Antonio Nusa continues to attract the attention of Premier League clubs, with Spurs joining Arsenal, Chelsea, and Manchester City. Chelsea interested in a summer move for Lille's 18-year-old center back Lenny Yoro, as they weigh up defensive options to replace 39-year-old Thiago Silva. Manchester United, Chelsea, and Arsenal are all interested in Barcelona teenager Pau Kubarsi. Newcastle, Arsenal been boosted in their pursuit of Sporting Lisbon center back Ousmane Diomande, as Chelsea now need to sell players before confirming any new arrivals this summer. Manchester City are set to sign France-born teenager Timeo Whisker, 15, from Cardiff City for about £250,000. Santos believe it's inevitable Al Hilal's forward Neymar will rejoin his first club before he ends his career. PSV Eindhoven hope to sign Serginho Dest and Malik Tillman on permanent deals this summer, having impressed on loan deals from Barca and Bayern. Spain's Football Federation informed the English FA they wish to select Leeds Spain-born striker Mateo Joseph and England U20 international for their U21's upcoming matches. Former Everton and Iceland midfielder Gylfi Sigurdsson has joined Icelandic club Valor after spending just over 6 months with Danish side Lyngby, and the FA is set to press ahead with plans to scrap FA Cup replays from the third round next season. That's from the four-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. So, that's a lot. That's a lot to talk about when it comes to everything going on. See, Maddie, even today I learned about Phineas and Ferb.
You did. And you know what? And it's about time. Phineas and Ferb is a great show.
Okay. Just checking. I mean, that's like I said, I was trying to figure out what the references were and all this kind of stuff. And I thought that, I'm pretty decent when it comes to obscure references, but I give all of you folks a lot of credit for making sure that I'm kept up to date. That I am down with what the kids are saying these days, and that I know what is going on with anything and everything. NWSL and Next Pro. Before we go, once again, 4 matchups. Our friend Jen Hildreth calling Kansas City hosting Portland tomorrow at 1:00 on ABC. Kansas City is a home underdog to Portland at a +122. Racing Louisville hosting Orlando, favored at home at a +117 at 4:00. 7:00, Courage, a -120, hosting the Houston Dash. 7:30, the return of soccer in the NWSL to Utah. Royals hosting the Chicago Red Stars. Royals favored at a +102. Red Stars are a +231. In Next Pro, we actually even have Next Pro juice boxes. This is like next level stuff here. Today, 3 matches. North Texas, favored at home against Vancouver Whitecaps 2 at 8:30 at a -123. Los Verdos, Austin FC 2, literally that's what they call them. That's their nickname, Los Verdos. Austin FC 2, favored at a +114 as Tacoma visits at 9:00. Real Monarchs hosting Portland Timbers 2. They're at a +119. Tomorrow's juice boxes, Atlanta United 2, a slight underdog to OCB. OCB is a plus 139. Atlanta United 2 is a plus 156. So, last thoughts as we head into the weekend. Maddie Cruz, what's on your mind?
Ooh, so much soccer this weekend. I'm very excited. Make sure that you guys watch the Atlanta United 2 preview ahead of the match tomorrow. We will be on air for the pregame at 2:30. Also, my full interview with head coach Lexington head coach Darren Powell will be up in around 30 minutes after we get off the air. I have to go back in and clip one or two things, but other than that, it'll be posted, so you'll get to watch the full thing of that. And yeah, a lot of soccer. Going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you, like John said, charge every single electronic you have and make sure everything's all set up.
Well, and one other thing, and yes, I am completely and totally remiss. I forgot to mention the sale of the San Diego Wave by Ron Burkle. $113 million up front. Looks like it's going to be two separate sales, $113 million in cash, $120 in the overall. So San Diego Wave sold for $120 million, double the price of what the Batals paid for their franchise. So $120 million for the San Diego Wave. Great piece of business by the NWSL and Ron Burkle. So we'll see if Burkle takes any of that 113 that he gets over the next year and invests it in Huddersfield Town or what he does with it. So or Sacramento Republic or whatever else is in the Burkle properties. But big. And according to our friends at Orange and Black, Sportico valued them at $90 million less than 6 months ago, and they were sold for $113 plus another $7 million that could be on the table. So good piece of business there. NWSL values definitely climbing as well. So I'm going to go learn about Phineas and Ferb. I got to get ready to travel down to Perry, and we'll be down there for the Friday night games of the week presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente at KP Georgia. Kaiser Permanente for all that is you. And thank you guys for another fantastic week. Very, very busy weekend for us here at SDH. We're going to be all over the place. Can't wait to have you as a part of it. Thanks for hanging out here on a Friday as we went through all of the leagues because there's a lot going on as evidenced by hour number 2. So for Maddie Cruz on the ones and twos, I'm just John. For Jarrett, for Jason, for everybody that's been here all week long, all of our experts, we get you ready for the weekend. So go and get your lunch, go and stay dry, get ready for the weekend, and we will see you in one place or another. Hopefully we'll see you at both. We'll see you at the Fraction on Saturday. You might see Maddie at the Fraction today if you want to go see some Kennesaw lacrosse, weather permitting, or we'll see you at the Benz on Sunday for wearing of green and wearing of blue and yellow for the new kit. Very, very cool stuff there as well. So, Maddie, since you did most of the work with all the content today, with Lex SC, with everything else going on, you get to send us home.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, guys, it is the end of the show, and that means John gets to do this. Mucho platino.